There is a law that no civilization has ever escaped. It doesn't care how powerful you are. It doesn't care how advanced, how wealthy, how well defended. In fact, the more powerful you become, the more this law tightens its grip. Here is the paradox. The things that make you strong are the very same things that make you impossible to save. We call it progress. We call it development. We call it civilization. History calls it something else. History calls it a trap. And every great empire in human history walked into it. Not blindly, not stupidly, but confidently, proudly. Because from the inside, a civilization at its peak always looks eternal. It never is. The year is 1200 BC. The world is more connected than it has ever been. Egyptian pharaohs exchange letters with Hittite kings. Mycenaean traders carry copper across the Aegean. Tin arrives from mines 1,000 miles away. Diplomats, scribes, merchants, soldiers, a network. The most sophisticated network the ancient world had ever seen. And then, within a single generation, it was gone. Not one civilization collapsed, not two. All of them. At the same time, the Mycenaeans, the Hittites, the Canaanites, cities abandoned, palaces burned, writing systems, in entire writing systems, they simply disappeared. For centuries, historians blamed invaders, the sea peoples, a mysterious force that swept across the Mediterranean like a wave. But that answer was never enough, because the sea peoples were not an army powerful enough to destroy everything. The real answer was something far more terrifying. These civilizations didn't fall because they were attacked. They fell because they had built a system so tightly connected, so perfectly optimized, that a single fracture anywhere became a fracture everywhere. Bronze requires copper. It also requires tin, and tin only came from one place, mines far to the north. Disrupt the tin supply, and there is no bronze, and there are no weapons, no tools, no trade. A drought hit the eastern Mediterranean. Crops failed. Populations moved. Coastal raids increased. Each of these shocks alone was survivable. Together, they were not. Because when your system has no slack, when every piece depends on every other piece, a problem in one corner becomes a collapse at the center. The Late Bronze Age did not end because its enemies were strong. It ended because its system had become too complex to absorb even a single mistake. Complexity had become the enemy within. Now move east, across the Indian Ocean, into the jungles of Southeast Asia, Cambodia, 802 AD. The Khmer Empire is building something the world has never seen. Not just temples, not just cities. They are engineering water itself. 1,000 square kilometers of canals, reservoirs, embankments, and moats. A hydraulic network with no equal on Earth. It captured the monsoon rains. It stored them, distributed them, fed an entire civilization through the dry season. At its peak, Angkor was the largest city on the planet. Nearly 1 million people, all of them sustained by water. The Khmer kings didn't just see the hydraulic system as infrastructure. They saw it as proof of divine power. A god king's ability to command the rivers themselves. And for 600 years, it worked. But here is what no one inside the system could see. A system that requires perfect conditions to function is not a strong system. It is a fragile one wearing the mask of strength. Because maintaining 1,000 square kilometers of water infrastructure required something that can never be guaranteed. Perfect political stability, endless labor, unbroken centralized control. The moment the politics fractured, maintenance declined, canals silted up, embankments weakened. Then came extreme monsoons, then came prolonged drought. The system that had fed 1 million people could not adapt. It had been built for one specific set of conditions, and those conditions changed. The temple still stood, the stone was still perfect, but the water stopped flowing, and when the water stopped flowing, the people disappeared. Psychologists have a name for what happened inside Angkor. They call it complexity bias. The unconscious belief that because a system is sophisticated, it must be durable. It is one of the most dangerous assumptions a civilization can make, because complexity and durability are not the same thing. Often, they are opposites. China, 618 AD. The Tang Dynasty begins, and for 300 years, it is arguably the greatest civilization on Earth. Advanced bureaucracy, flourishing poetry and art, trade routes stretching from Korea to Central Asia, a military that had no rival. At its peak, the Tang capital of Chang'an was home to 2 million people, the most cosmopolitan city in the world. And beneath all of that brilliance, a quiet, invisible transformation was happening. In the fields of northern China, farmers were switching crops. For centuries, the land had grown millet, drought-resistant, reliable, stubborn. But as prosperity grew, demand for wheat and rice grew too, more refined, more productive in good years, more profitable. So millet disappeared, replaced, optimized away. No one saw this as a problem. Why would they? The harvests were larger, the markets were fuller, the empire was rich, but wheat and rice are not millet. They do not survive drought. They do not forgive a bad season. And in the 9th century, the rain stopped. Not everywhere, not all at once, but enough. Harvests failed. Food supplies collapsed. The military mawkers stretched across thousands of miles of frontier where couldn't be fed. At the same time, regional military governors who had been accumulating power for decades stopped answering to the emperor, and a rebel named Huang Chao, who began as a salt smuggler, led an army of the starving through the heart of China. The Tang Dynasty did not fall to a foreign invader. It fell to its own optimization. It had traded the resilience of millet for the efficiency of wheat. It had traded redundancy for productivity. And when the climate changed, there was no margin left, no backup, no fallback, just a system that had been tuned so tightly for good times, it had forgotten how to survive bad ones. The Maya, Mesoamerica, one of the most intellectually extraordinary civilizations in human history. They mapped the stars with terrifying precision. They built calendars more accurate than anything in Europe. They raised stone cities in the middle of dense jungle and made them thrive. At their peak, dozens of city-states, connected by trade, by alliance, by marriage, by debt. A web, intricate, brilliant, and invisible. In the 8th century, drought struck the central lowlands. Not everywhere. We know this now. Some cities, like Itzan in Guatemala, had stable rainfall, geographically protected, climatically insulated, and yet Itzan collapsed too. Why? Because it didn't matter that Itzan's climate was stable. Itzan was connected. When drought hit the cities to the north, those cities went to war over water, over food, over survival. Trade routes shut down. Royal dynasties that had held political order for centuries shattered. Refugees moved south, carrying instability with them. And Itzan, which had done nothing wrong, which had made no mistakes, which had suffered no drought, was pulled under anyway. Because in a network, you do not need to fail. You only need to be connected to something that does. This is the most brutal truth about complex systems. Stability is not enough. If the network around you is unstable, your stability means nothing. The Maya didn't just collapse. They were cascaded into collapse, city by city, alliance by alliance, one domino at a time, until the jungle grew back over the plazas, and the silence returned. Now stop, because everything we have just witnessed in history is also happening inside your body, right now. This is not metaphor, this is biology. The human body evolved for a specific kind of world, a world of irregular stress. Short bursts of danger followed by rest, physical hardship followed by recovery. Scarcity followed by abundance. That rhythm made the body resilient. It made the immune system sharp, the metabolism flexible, the mind alert. And then civilization happened. We engineered away the discomfort. We stabilized the food supply. We removed the physical stress. We solved the scarcity. And just like the Tang farmers who replaced millet with wheat, we optimized for comfort and eliminated our own redundancy. The result? A body that has never learned to handle stress cannot handle stress. Chronic inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, immune systems that overreact or fail to react at all. A mind flooded with information it was never designed to process. Chronic low-level anxiety. That never resolves, because there is no predator to outrun, no drought to survive, no physical challenge to complete, just noise. Permanent, invisible structural noise. Psychologists have confirmed what history already showed us. Systems that are never stressed become fragile. Bodies that are never challenged lose the capacity to recover. Nassim Taleb called this anti-fragility. The idea that certain things don't just survive stress, they require it to remain strong. Muscle, bone, the immune system, the mind, all of them become weaker. Without periodic hardship, the Bronze Age scribes, the Angkor engineers, the Tang grain officials, the Maya astronomers, they were all brilliant. And they were all building systems. That quietly eliminated the one thing every system needs to survive. Room to fail, room to recover, room to be wrong. We are doing the same thing in our cities, in our economies, in our bodies. No civilization in human history has ever been more interconnected than ours. Think about what that means. A single semiconductor factory in Taiwan supplies components to cars in Germany, to hospitals in Brazil, to military systems in the United States. One factory, dozens of critical dependencies, zero alternatives. A global financial system where the failure of one bank in 2008 nearly collapsed the savings of billions of people who had never heard of that bank. A food system where 3 crops, wheat, rice, and maize, feed more than half the world's population. A digital infrastructure where a single undersea cable carries the communications of an entire continent. We have built the most efficient system that has ever existed. And efficiency is another word for fragility, because efficiency means no slack, no redundancy, no backup. It means the system works perfectly until it doesn't. As we invented just-in-time supply chains, products arrive exactly when needed. No warehouses, no excess, no waste. It was called genius. And then a single cargo ship ran aground in the Suez Canal, and shelves emptied across 3 continents. A pandemic closed borders for a few months, and hospitals ran out of basic equipment. The Bronze Age collapsed when its tin supply was disrupted. We call our version a supply chain crisis. The name is different. The mechanism is identical. We are not immune to this law. We have never been more exposed to it. We have simply built the trap at a scale that has never been attempted before. History does not repeat itself because people are foolish. History repeats itself because the trap is invisible until after it closes. The Bronze Age kings had no reason to fear. Their system had worked for centuries. The Khmer engineers had no reason to doubt. Their hydraulics were the wonder of the world. The Tang emperors had no reason to question. Their harvests had never been larger. The Maya astronomers had no reason to worry. Their cities were connected. Their alliances were strong. They were all correct. Right until the moment they weren't. This is the nature of fragility. It does not announce itself. It builds quietly, in the margins, in the dependencies, in the optimizations that felt like progress, in the redundancies that felt like waste, in the hardships that were engineered away, in the buffers that were sacrificed for efficiency. And by the time it becomes visible, it is already too late to fix. Every civilization that ever collapsed was, at the moment of its collapse, utterly convinced of its own permanence. That is not ignorance. That is the trap. The complexity trap doesn't catch the weak. It catches the strong. It catches the ones who built something so impressive. They stopped imagining it could fail. So ask yourself, not about empires, not about history, about now. Look at the systems around you, the ones that feed you, the ones that power your city, the ones that move your money, the ones that govern your country. Ask not whether they are powerful. They are. Ask whether they are built to bend. Ask whether they have slack, redundancy, room to absorb a shock, room to be wrong. Because if the answer is no, then you are not living inside a civilization at its peak. You are living inside a system that has never been more exposed. The Bronze Age thought the same thing. So did Angkor. So did the Tang. So did the Maya. And one morning, without warning, everything that had always worked stopped. History is not a story about the past. It is a mirror. And right now, it is showing us something. The question is whether we are willing to look